Welcome everybody to the Molecular Biotechnology Made in Saxony online event. This is hosted by my clients in West Region Leipzig and the Saxony Economic Development Corporation. This particular event is the second in a three-part series of informative presentations to discuss the state of play in Saxony's digital health sector. We're set to last around 75 minutes today, and we'll give you the opportunity to ask any questions you may have after each presentation. In the meantime, if I could ask you to mute your microphone so there's no background noise during everybody's presentations, that would be helpful. We will be recording today's session, and a copy of that will be sent to all of you after the event, along with a copy of each of the speaker presentation slides. So I'll hand over to Barbara from the Saxony Economic Development Corporation, who will begin with a presentation discussing Saxony's life science cluster. Over to you, Barbara.
Thank you, Helen. Okay, thank you, and welcome everyone here to our second session today to the topic of molecular biotechnology made here in Saxony. And my name is Barbara Weigert. I'm working for the Saxony Economic Development Corporation, which is a state-owned company, and we are guiding and helping businesses, entities who come into Saxony to find the right partners and to settle their companies here. And I'm working especially in the field of life science. So let's get my presentation started for you. In my presentation, I would like to focus on three major topics. One is infrastructure in terms of logistics and incubator system, and also networks like clusters. Second is talent in terms of excellent scientists on one hand, and on the other hand on excellent employees available, graduates and skilled workers. And the third is I would like to focus a little bit on grants in the end, which are available here in Saxony. So first, let's get the map to see where we are located. Saxony in the eastern part of Germany, but of course very central when you watch Europe as in total. In Saxony, we have around 4.07 million people living, and we have our two major cities, Leipzig and Dresden, with each of them more than 500,000 people living in. Very special in Saxony is that we have a very high share of small and mid-sized companies. Actually, over 93% of our companies are SMEs. This slide is going in infrastructure, so one of the topics I would like to discuss with you. Infrastructure is very important, especially in terms of logistics. Then we go to Leipzig and see Leipzig has since a couple of years Europe's most modern air cargo hub with a 24/7 service, and especially in the field of biotechnology and pharma. We have pharma logistics like World Courier here located in Leipzig, and they design and execute the medical logistic process for the biopharmaceutical industry. And just to get you some idea how we are connected by train and Autobahn. Dresden, for example, to Leipzig, we can go with the ICE in 1 hour from Leipzig to the capital of Germany in Berlin. We are also traveling just an hour. And for example, Dresden to the capital of Czech to Prague, we can go by car in 1 hour and 40 minutes. So we are very well, logistically connected with all the other German and European major cities. This overview shows that in the last 20 years, Saxony has grown a lot. So the economy has increased by more than 30% since the year 2000. And Saxony has one of the highest GDP growth within Germany. And Saxony is therefore a top location also for globally active enterprises like in the pharma industry, GSK, in the microelectronics. We have Global Foundries here. We have DHL in Leipzig, as I already mentioned, and we also have automotive industry in Saxony like BMW. But yeah, on one hand, we have traditional and main industries in Saxony, like automotive, but on the other hand, and which is also politically supported, we would like to focus on future sectors like biotech and medtech. That's why we talk today. And another overview for UK investments in Saxony says that we have up to now 22 investments in total, which created around 3,000 jobs in Saxony. And we have industries from the medical and pharmaceutical sector, like GlaxoSmithKline. You can see the factory here on the picture, Smith Medical and Synergies, and also other branches. We have investments from UK over here. But let's take a closer look to life sciences. We have 300 plus companies working in the field of biotech, pharma, and medtech. We have active clusters in Leipzig and Dresden with 30 plus research institutes and innovation centers. We are focusing in the field of regenerative medicine and diagnostics, as well as molecular bioengineering and also bioinformatics. One important thing what gives Saxony his strengths in life sciences is that we have really a working clusters which are active in life science, in biotech and medtech especially. Our network is called BioSaxony, and they have over 110 members. And let's say a main task for them is to really connect the members and make them stronger. And a new cluster is coming up soon. It's called SaxoCell. Different experts from Dresden and Leipzig joined forces together and developing new production methods and applications for innovative cell and gene therapies in the future. Then let's see on one hand the research infrastructure where also the talent comes out here in Saxony. Therefore, we have 6 universities. They are providing specific bachelor's and master's in life sciences. And we also have international doctoral programs in Dresden as well as in Leipzig. And as you can see on the map, it's not only the universities, it's also the non-university research institutions, which are very important in Saxony, and you find players like Helmholtz, Fraunhofer, and Max Planck institutions, which are all also active in the field of life science. Let's have a closer look on this with example in Dresden. This is the life science campus in the picture. From bird's eye perspective, you can see the map of this quarter in Dresden, which is the Johannstadt quarter. Dominating here is the university clinic and with its institutes and interdisciplinary centers where also clinical trials, international clinical trials are going on. Very close by, you have located the Max Planck Institute for cell biology and genetics. Main focus for them is how do cells form tissues. We have the Oncoray Center, a completely different topic. Here they are doing personalized radiation therapies. Then on the other side of the street, we have 3 centers, the CRTD, the Biotech, and the BCube, which are under the roof of Center for Molecular and Cellular Bioengineering. And to complete this, we have 2 German centers, one for regenerative diseases and one for diabetes research. So you can see all major common diseases are somehow covered here in this campus area. Then I would like to talk about 2 testimonials. One is GlaxoSmithKline in Dresden. The site director, Dr. Jacqueline Schönfelder, said in her testimonial speech that 2 important aspects are to mention here. One is we found motivated and passionate people in Dresden. And the other one is that they really have a new and modern infrastructure built in the last years in the city of Dresden with the support of investment grants. So 2 topics are already covered here. One is the talent, one is the grant. And to complete this, our next testimonial, GeneWits in Leipzig, they built up their headquarters here. And the senior director, Dr. Kerstin Stanier, said, we chose Leipzig because the favorable infrastructure with the DHL hub here was the decisive factor to do this investment exactly here. So all 3 topics are just covered by these 2 testimonials. And now in the end, a small overview of our incentive system. 2 are very important. One is the investment grants. Here, companies, especially small and mid-sized companies, can get up to 30% from their total investment as a grant or as incentives from the Free State of Saxony. Investment means, on one hand, it could be something like what GSK created, build up a factory, but also invest in equipment for the lab, and also invest in talent. This can also be covered here through this instrument. But also research is a huge topic in life science and biotech. So we are promoting research and technology transfer and innovation. Various programs are available here. And for SMEs, for example, when they want to engage innovation experts in their company, up to 50% can be covered of the salary costs here. And another topic is foreign trade support programs, for example, to participate in international trade shows, can also be supported trade shows like BIOS and Medicas. So this is it from my side, the small overview about Saxony and about what we are doing in life science. Now I would like to hand over to my colleague Axel. He will describe the situation in Leipzig.
So yes, good morning everyone. Thanks for attending this online seminar on all things life sciences in Saxony. I will start off with delivering a few key facts and figures about the Leipzig region, because let's face it, most people are not yet aware of where we are and what we do. Well, if only my presentation would work. So here we go. Yeah, as Barbara already mentioned, we are pretty much an integral part of the global economy already. That is very much owing to the fact that DHL runs its European hub from Leipzig. So everyone who's involved in global supply chains is very familiar with Leipzig's offer, making it a great place for any kind of company that essentially has to find solutions for global supply chain challenges. Further to the fact that Leipzig is located in the state of Saxony, it is actually located at the intersection of 3 federal states, with the, population of approximately 8.4 million people. It is pretty much the cultural and economic center of central Germany. The city as such has about 600,000 people today. It is expected to grow by another 50,000 over the next 10 years. What does that tell us? Well, it is currently Germany's fastest growing city, and it also happens to have the youngest average population of all German cities, including Berlin. It is, in terms of the economic development, quite a success story for transformation city in the former east of Germany. So it is the second most dynamic city economy in Germany today, just trailing Munich actually, which of course is a very different beast economically. It's always been a center of higher education for centuries, actually. It has one of the oldest universities in all of Germany. So today, of course, we do see a strong talent pipeline of people, especially in all things STEM. And therefore, I think we can now safely claim that the city economy is very much powered by innovation-driven sectors like digital and tech, mobility, energy, and the life sciences sector. As a proof point, as you can see, our largest sectors in Leipzig, just based on the employment figures, you can see healthcare and the life sciences now make up the most jobs in Leipzig, and it is growing at an astonishing pace as well. So on average, we had 4.9% growth in the life sciences sector, just followed by logistics, which is no-brainer given DHL. And of course, we have a very strong automotive sector with Porsche and BMW having plants here, which are a major employer in the region. So, but just to talk about the life science sector, I think it is safe to say that Leipzig today has one of the most diverse and dynamic life sciences clusters in all of Germany. It is its stated aim to drive biomedical innovation across the board. And not only that, but actually be able to rapidly translate and introduce new therapies, devices, solutions into Germany's as well as the EU's healthcare markets. So what you see here, and Barbara mentioned already that one of the core strengths in Leipzig and Dresden is all things regenerative gene and cell therapies, but we have a few more areas of expertise here. One being all things innovation in surgery, which is quite remarkable, and you can look it up on our various websites, what we have on offer here, but also on sports and rehab, of course, diagnostics and medtech. And I think we can hint at the fact that Leipzig will probably become one of the 5G test beds in Germany for medical applications or healthcare applications, which should be interesting enough, but also in all things e-health, health tech, and smart medical solutions. I think we are way ahead compared to other regions in Germany that get much more recognition. So brace yourselves for some new developments from Leipzig in that sector. Also, as I said, rapid translation of medical innovation is a key deliverable for the Leipzig Life Sciences cluster. So as you can see, over the last 10 years, 350 plus clinical studies have been done here. So that is also due to the fact that we have a dedicated center for clinical studies that does help academics as well as hospitals and healthcare providers, plus industry partners to design, set up, conduct, and analyze clinical trials. So that is very much a very supportive unit, which is available to any kind of company from Germany, but also outside of Germany. I think as we will share these presentations later, you can familiarize yourselves with the various institutions that do help deliver clinical trials here. I just want to highlight again what we do in terms of physical infrastructure. What you see here is the BioCity campus in Leipzig. It actually is an old trade fair ground, which is now being converted into some kind of innovation district. As you can see, very much co-located are all things life sciences. You can see the Faculty of Medicine close by to the BioCity Leipzig, which is actually our incubator and accelerator program for all things biotechnology. You see the BioCube Leipzig, which is home to many of our very successful startups that actually scaled up and needed more space to actually do their business. But you can also see some of the things that are done in terms of groundbreaking research, like the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology, which is quite interesting. But of course, our local champion, the Fraunhofer Institute for Cell Therapy and Immunology. I think it's worth mentioning, this is quite a success story because essentially the groundwork was done as recently as 2003. And we currently see the third expansion phase if you look at number 7, which is an old trade fair hall that is currently under development to provide more lab space and office space for biotech companies, be it startup companies, legacy companies, you name it, but we are quite serious about growing our life sciences sector. Yeah, so this is, of course, part of the name dropping that is due at this stage, but without further ado, actually, I would like to hand over now to our biotech champions from Saxony, and they will probably and certainly talk you through what the companies are doing and, of course, why they are thriving in Saxony. Thank you.
Okay, then as a first testimonial, we welcome Isabel Antals, the Managing Director of Mannin. Mannin is a Canadian-based biotech company focused on discovery, development, and commercialization of therapeutics in vascular diseases. And then since 2019, Mannin is now registered in Leipzig or based here in Leipzig. Please, Isabel Antals.
So it was a challenge to unmute myself, but now it works. Good morning, everyone. My name is Isabel Antals. As Barbara said, I'm the Managing Director of the Mannin GmbH. Mannin GmbH is a daughter company of a small Canadian biotech company named Mannin Research Incorporation. It's based in Toronto. And Mannin's core expertise is to develop treatments for vascular diseases based on the Tie2 mechanism of action. And we as a company are living up to our mission statement, drive innovation and life science to make a difference in healthcare globally. And we do this by more or less using the Tie2 platform or Tie2 mechanism of action, aiming to help patients and physicians around the world for better treatments from different angles. Meaning we don't want to be a one-trick pony aiming for one successful therapeutic blockbuster, you name it, to become successful, but go a pathway that is more comprehensive and brings to attention different aspects of such treatments. This is on the disease side, so on the our our pathway goes into different indications, but it is as well on the competitive side of how to make a drug being successfully delivered to patients. I just give you a short overview on the indications that we are working on. And you can see with these indications that our first primary indication was a small molecule and a biologic for glaucoma. So glaucoma was the first treatment that we were looking for. But at the same time, we were targeting as well infectious diseases. Now with the pandemic coming up and will being or accompanying us for a while in the future, we have accelerated the process on the infectious diseases for treatments in for COVID patients to help, not trying to build a vaccine, but to help the vascular problems that they have in the lung. One thing that you can see, and I think this is important as a bridge to my next slide, is that we work on, for instance, the extended release with pendant bioscience. As I mentioned, we are trying to approach the development smarter, from different angles. And we are working, for instance, with pendant biosciences on the extended release of the therapeutics for glaucoma. They have created or developed a new way or a new technology using polymer structures to be able to more specifically determine when the drugs will be released, how much, in what time frame. And this is, for instance, an angle we want to use as well to make sure our drugs work better and have different options of delivering our drugs. Another example would be that we are working on a diagnostic for glaucoma that detects glaucoma early and can detect the progression as well. You cannot see it here, it's called GDF15. What I'm trying to get across, and this is the bridge to the next slide, is that our success depends on the ecosystem, depends on the collaborations that we manage, that we find, that we develop. And this is not only why we are here today, but this is as well, why do we have a subsidiary in Saxony? When Mannin decided to have another subsidiary in Europe, the idea was to cross the bridge in terms of gathering more knowledge, gathering more people, gathering more companies, more ideas, doing everything a little bit broader, having more opportunities. And we were looking for the perfect place to do that within Europe. And there was a selection of different countries and different regions within the countries, and it was quite a detailed analysis that was done in terms of what would fit us best, what would fit our needs. And I can say that Saxony by far won that game because of different reasons. One reason is, and I think this was mentioned by Barbara extensively, there is an ecosystem around biotech that has been built for years now, and that is probably not unique, but special. Also, and this is like how life goes, there is a collaboration between our partner university close to Toronto in Hamilton and the Fraunhofer ICI in Saxony. So there was already the awareness that something like Fraunhofer, Saxony, and some hub would be there. But then another thing that was mentioned, the funding, the extensive funding scheme was one of the plus that we were looking for, because us being a small company with an extensive R&D spend, what we need is diluted funding. And we were able to apply for a grant given by the SAB. You can see it on the partner slide as well here. We really consider them as one of our partners, of nearly 7 million euros to conduct our research for glaucoma and infectious diseases in Saxony for the next years. And we really were accompanied along that way, applying for the grant, setting up an enterprise or a legal entity in Germany, finding lab spaces, finding people, by this huge and strong ecosystem in Saxony. The SAB actually being one of it. But of course, the Bio-Saxony and the clusters and the economic development, you name them, all of them were strongly working together along to help us. And this is actually why we're here today, or why we were very keen to participate in this meeting, because you can see there are some white spots in my slide here. And because we are looking for more, we are looking for cross-cutting, enabling technologies, like we are just building a joint venture with some AI company out of Canada, or in the meantime it has become global, but to accelerate and make our development process more successful, more predictable. We are working on, as I said, on the diagnostics. And we are looking for more. We want to become even smarter, to become even different by using technologies, by using different approaches that we might not even be aware of right now. And so if you see those kind of technologies, if you have any ideas, we are very happy to speak to everyone to learn more about it. Apart from that, obviously we are working very closely together with Fraunhofer, so research institutes with special knowledge are of our interest. Also CROs, CMOs, we are beginning clinical trials next year. So, and we have not yet much knowledge of clinical trials ourselves. So everything that would be around that area is of much interest for us. And we are happy to get into any conversation. So this was mainly about it. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer later on or afterwards per email.
Okay, thank you so much, Isabel. This was a really, really good insight in Mannin and what they are doing right now and how they came to Saxony. And thank you also again to tell us the advantages and what gave the decisive, the decision actually for you to be here in Saxony. Great.
Maybe if I because I saw this one question around the appetite of companies in Saxony to collaborate with companies outside.
Yeah.
Maybe I can give my personal experience on that. We are obviously not the best example because we are an international company. But from what I have experienced in the phase before, we were a German company as well, but only a Canadian company asking for collaboration potential or talking to Saxony companies. I think the appetite is huge. There might sometimes be some language barrier with the first contact person you reach out to, but the appetite is there, and they make everything happen to find someone who maybe has better English skills or to find if they think they would not serve best for the request you have, they have a good network to others and would be willing to guide you to someone who can actually help you. So I would say there is an appetite, and I wouldn't say they prefer local companies because they are looking for new things as well. But this is just my personal experience.
Yeah. Yeah, but I also agree with this, what we have seen in the past. I would also say that our Saxon companies are definitely very open-minded to collaborate with foreign companies. Just one thing I would like to mention here: if you are a foreign company and you collaborate with one of the Saxon companies and you would like to also get incentives or grants for this, for the R&D activity or for the clinical trials or whatever you do together, then you should have a base in Saxony to get the money coming to you as well. This is just one hint here, what I would like to give. Okay, so then let's go forward and introduce our next testimonial. This is Dr. Norman Gerstner. He is the head of business development of company group called Molecular Diagnostics. They are located in Dresden and 3 companies are united in this group. So please, Norman, tell us about the success story.
Yes. So also from my side, good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here and introduce the Molecular Diagnostics group. So this should be in presenter mode now. Yes, so the Molecular Diagnostics Group is actually born in Dresden and Saxony and also grown up here. It's an organization of currently 3 companies which have together the big vision to really realize on the potential of personalized medicine through personalized diagnostics. So how can you generate patient data in a way and acquire patient data in a way that it's possible to select the appropriate treatment out of all possible treatment options. And as I said, it's born in Dresden. It's basically a family holding of the family of Dr. Wilhelm Zirgel, who is the founder of the Molecular Diagnostics Group and also founder of basically one of the first companies of the group, which is Biotype. And you can see here the 3 different companies organized within the Molecular Diagnostics Group. It's on the left-hand side, Biotype, which is headed by Dr. Karim Tabiti. Biotype's core business is molecular diagnostics, so PCR and non-PCR based diagnostic assays, and also complete system solutions for molecular diagnostics. Qualitype, headed by the son of Dr. Zirgebe, Dr. Tim Zirgebe, is an IT and software company focused on everything from data management to data analysis in the area of life sciences and medicine. And ROTOP, headed by Jens Juncker, is actually a pharma company, but also at this intersection between diagnostics and pharma, because they develop and commercialize molecular ratio tracers, so substances which help to specifically locate the tumor on a molecular level in the patient. And those 3 companies together, organized in the Molecular Diagnostics Group, have currently over 200 employees all together. And they are local companies here around Dresden and made all their success story basically in this ecosystem, what you already were introduced to by Barbara, and also what Mannin basically said, what was their main reason to join here, the Saxon ecosystem. And just a slide on the big vision on realizing the idea of personalized medicine. So each of these 3 companies has, of course, their own core business. Basically, the idea of the Molecular Diagnostics Group is really to create out of this expertise and the technologies, the innovative potential, new holistic solutions for personalized medicine that can basically cover the complete value chain that is required in personalized medicine to be able to select an individualized treatment that is the best option, basically in line with the disease that was diagnosed. And these two upper basically boxes, molecular diagnostics and companion diagnostics, is what Biotype brings in. So everything regarding molecular tests that help to analyze DNA or RNA from patients in order to have like a precise diagnosis and a precise stratification of patients. Then we have ROTOP, who is then basically providing the molecular radionucleotides that help to exactly specifically localize a tumor, for example, if it's like in oncology, and help to, first of all, if surgery is necessary, to assess basically tumor size, tumor growth. This can be done with products from ROTOP. And again, Qualitype is bringing in the whole digital health technology part, from data management to data analysis, basically. And yeah, the molecular diagnostics group really looks for applications, products that create synergies between the companies that can develop like a holistic solution portfolio. Just some of the milestones. It all started with Biotype in the early, actually before, but Biotype was founded end of the 90s, 1999, so 21 years ago. Back then, starting with like services and products in the area of genotyping for forensics, and gradually moving towards human medical applications and human diagnostics. And on this course, acquired Qualitype and ROTOP. And there's already some success stories in this, I would say, Saxony ecosystem covered within here. So Biotype was very successful in the forensics business, so that it had basically sold at some point the forensics business to QIAGEN, and then moved into the whole human medical diagnostics field. ROTOP was a former startup here in this area that was later acquired by MDG, together with one of the founding partners of ROTOP. And they gradually grow together, these companies organized in a molecular diagnostic groups, when today really thinking about common product portfolios that combine different products out of each of these three companies. And what is very, very important for the current success of this family business, this holding, this company organization over the past years, is that it's really possible to have this fluid exchange between those three companies, and that the founder and the owner, Dr. Zörgiebel, is very, very open to innovation and understands very well the potential of innovation. So we can heavily capitalize on the innovative potential that Dresden and other regions in Saxony have due to the access to this, as you've seen before, various research institutes, non-university research institutes, to top medical institutions, university clinics, and to other companies, of course. And combined within this MDG, within this molecular diagnostics group, these three companies basically cover the complete value chain, from innovation over product development to commercialization, gradually moving more and more towards providing system solutions. And of course, we could not have, or this group could not have achieved that if it was not embedded in that ecosystem, what we have here. And you heard already a lot of this. I just want to mention really that this combination of support from political and governmental institutions, from different associations and initiatives in the area of life science, medical technology, and research, and the highly excellent scientific network helped us a lot in developing the current products, and also in establishing collaborations that led to successful market launches of products. The financial network was already introduced, because this structure what you have in Germany, also of course in Saxony, in supporting companies with grants for specific parts of their research, for example, or innovation strategies, is very helpful. And so this was why it was possible also from Saxony, from Dresden, to achieve a market penetration in this like different markets where this MDG is active, forensics, molecular diagnostics, and more now in personalized medicine. And why is this so important, and why are we also very, very open to international collaborations, international partnerships? Because personalized medicine, like the idea behind, can only be realized through synergies, through different companies working together, since it's a very complex topic, which is just illustrated in this chart. Like when we want to move from what is depicted here on the left-hand side, away from that we have a very general approach to medicine today, where it's still not very easy to get a precise diagnosis in time and to select the most appropriate treatment in time. If we want to move towards a more individualized kind of medicine, what you see on the right-hand side, we need different expertises to be combined, and this usually lies within the core of different companies. And especially these three companies organized in the MDG, Biotype, ROTOP, and Qualitype, have already the core business areas that are very beneficial to be combined for holistic solutions in personalized medicine. Qualitype on the data management and data analysis side, Biotype on the whole sample, pre-analytic and diagnostic side, and ROTOP on the area of molecular imaging that helps you to localize a tumor in oncology, for example. And so this will then help to create solution portfolios that really allow to choose from the different available treatments the best suitable for an individual person. And this is also the reason that we're very open to further collaborations also internationally, because, as I said, each of these companies has their own core business. And for example, ROTOP and Biotype are currently growing, expanding internationally. Also for Biotype, very much boosted through COVID-19. So we are one of the companies who actually had the opportunity to enter a big contract with a British company to manufacture as an OEM partner their COVID-19 PCR test, which is now internationally used for doing the testing on COVID-19 patients. And now I want to just end with like 3 slides that have like some focus on the core product portfolios of the different companies, so that you get an idea what else is there besides like the synergies for personalized medicine. So as I said, Biotype GmbH is mostly active in molecular testing. Very importantly, we have so Biotype has their own proprietary platform for complex molecular tests, which Biotype applies mostly in the areas of oncology, infectious disease, and companion diagnostics. But this is like a very open, versatile platform that can be applied for other areas where molecular testing is required, or in general where the analysis of nucleic acids like DNA and RNA are required, qualitative or quantitative. So this is a current core business of Biotype, and the assays we produce on this platform basically also go in hand with providing this holistic solutions for personalized medicine. As I said, ROTOP is developing and commercializing this radiopharmaceuticals based on a technetium isotope for different organs to be able on a molecular level precisely to locate the tumor. Is internationally expanded. So all of these 3 companies do most of their business internationally in Europe and the Americas. And ROTOP has 15 products basically in over 20 countries. And Qualitype is complementing all of this from the data and IT and bioinformatics side, which goes really from data management to laboratory information systems, the whole way to data analysis. And out of this, organized in this holding in this group, we are now working like really very focused on a next level or next generation of product portfolio, where we create the synergies for holistic solution portfolios. And it's all located here in Dresden. We are very open to discuss the potential for collaboration. I thank you very much for your attention, and look for further questions later on. Thank you.
Yes, Norman, thank you very much for this impressive presentation about the molecular diagnostics group. It's crazy how it developed in the last 20 years. exactly the time when also Saxony started their biotech force in the 2000s. Your company started as well in the same time, and now we can see how great it developed. Okay, is there a question from the audience for Norman? You can also type it into the chat, and I would suggest we go on right now for the last testimonial, and in the end we can also talk about the questions from the audience to our testimonials. Okay, our third testimonial is Dr. Norbert Höfgen, the COO of DynAbind. DynAbind, a company which was founded in 2017, also located in Dresden and coming out of the Technical University of Dresden. So please, Dr. Höfgen, tell us why you work in this field, or what does it mean for you to search the needle in the haystack, as you already mentioned it a little bit in your presentation.
Yeah, so it's too late to say good morning again, so hello from Dresden. It's a pleasure to present DynAbind to you. DynAbind is clearly a drug discovery company. The technology is based on so-called DNA-encoded libraries. The aim of our innovations is to maintain the basic values of this technology, which is huge throughput and covering of huge chemical space, but to improve the classical limitations, which is mainly bad library quality and data reliability. We are running partnerships and collaborations with groups in pharma and biotech and even in academia. As Barbara said, we are a spin-out from the TU Dresden, founded in 2017, and we are VC-backed since last year. What does it mean, finding needle in a haystack? So in drug discovery, the haystack is the collection of all test compounds you have access to. And the challenge is to find for a certain protein which is linked to a certain disease, to find active compounds which are able to modulate this protein. In the classical technology, which is high throughput screening, all compounds are screened one by one. That is highly automated, but it takes very long, and you have first to generate a test system for this. With DNA encoded libraries, you can test all compounds of your haystacks simultaneously in one experiment. And though the horseshoe is the protein, if you will, and the needles are selected by the protein. The trick is that you have to miniaturize your haystack that it fits in a single test tube. And this is achieved by adding a little DNA tag to each of the compounds. This works like a barcode in the supermarket. And it is used for the readout at the end of your potential hits, which have been identified by the selection experiment. Altogether, compared to the classical technology, the time to come to a hit list is reduced tremendous, though it's 10 times the speed of the classical technology, and the costs are reduced by 90%. The common workflow from top left starting is that you are mobilizing your protein on a solid surface. Then this is incubated by the whole library, if you will, by a drop of the whole library. The non-binders are washed away, and from the binding compounds you are selecting the DNA tags, which are then amplified, and the readout is just sequencing and hit counting. The result is a qualitative list of potential hits, which has to be followed up by an orthogonal validation experiment for quantification and even for sorting out potential false positive hits if there are some. So how to achieve the improvement of the technology compared to the classical versions. One solution we are using is that the architecture of our library allows a dynamic interaction between the library members. At the end, we are using double-stranded DNA architecture, and this allows a full quality control of all library members after their synthesis. We are focused on, in selecting library members on structures which can be used later on by medicinal chemists in the client's organization to start immediately with hit-to-lead optimization. So we have strict cutoff levels in the PhysChem properties, for instance, and we are incorporating small molecules as well as fragments. Diversity is a main topic in the compilation of the library. The libraries are composed that they can be used and are value for any type of targets a client could be interested in. Another important thing is that if you're synthesizing the structures on DNA, then there is a risk of incomplete turnover and low yields, though the quality control we are running and the purification steps is avoiding that we have any kind of junk compounds in the library. So any structure which is then identified as a potential hit is a true structure. At the moment, we are running selections with roughly 125 million different structures. We have a growth campaign ongoing, which will add another 100 million, and we expect to have the launch of this in September. The core innovations we are using are all patent protected. To give two examples here without too many details, on the right hand side we have this dynamic library architecture, which is used, for instance, to enrich the high affinity hits during the selection process. And we could demonstrate in a head-to-head comparison with a static version that this yields in a 30-fold improvement of the signal-to-noise ratio in this experiment, which is important. At the end, you are getting fewer but much more reliable hits out of the campaign. On the left-hand side, the pass coding algorithm, this is a mechanism which is used to get easier opportunities for the readout at the end. And it's incorporating built-in error proofing to avoid false positive hits coming out of sequencing mistakes, which could come up from time to time. The technology has been used for a huge variety of target families, though the more easy ones are, of course, enzymes or proteases, but even the tricky ones, which were difficult to drug with common technologies, are protein-protein interactions or GPCRs. Even here we were already very successful. A typical type of deals we are running is on the left-hand side, the most common one with industrial partners. It's a kind of a shared risk partnership with some upfront payments on the work packages and then later on a milestone program. Alternative is a front-loaded fee-for-service collaboration. We are also open for licensing deals to bring in the technology into your organization. This is even another answer on the question how eager we are to collaborate with foreign companies. DynAbind is a company which in the first 2 years had 100% deal rate with foreign companies only. We had no clients in Germany. As you can see here, we are active in North America, in Europe and Japan. Though some nice examples for pharma are Almirall, Ionis, or even Galapagos. With Merck, Merck is distributing a kit we are providing for do-it-on-your-own experiments, especially in academia. In US, it's Millipore. And to give you an example for the United Kingdom, we have a collaboration with OMAS Therapeutics in Oxford, and even with the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. And as I always mentioned, we are looking for more, though if you have an interest in our technology, just reach out to us. Here are our contact details, and now I'm eager to answer your questions.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So we've got one question from Stella that goes in the direction of Norbert, and she's asking, do you also carry out chemistry in-house or work with medicinal chemistry groups in CROs and pharma biotech companies? Do you have an answer for that?
Yeah, of course. Though the chemistry we require for the library synthesis is, of course, running in-house. Even we are offering follow-up activities which are going a little bit in the direction of medicinal chemistry, so resynthesis activities, or if you are going ahead with fragments and even fragment linking programs, things like that. Most pharma companies are more eager to run anything which is following up on their own with their huge medchem capacities they have in-house. If this is even required by a client from us, we have a CRO, a local one, which we are using for such things. But there's always even opportunities for new collaborations. So we are very flexible here.
All right. Before we conclude today, just a reminder, this is your chance to ask live questions. I don't know how many more are coming up, but of course, you will also be able to get in touch with us or speakers after that webinar. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that, you know, with regards to potential copyright infringement. Sorry for that online seminar. So I just want to pick up on a thing Isabel mentioned earlier about, you know, language barriers or any other existing barriers or perceived barriers to enter the German market. I strongly encourage anyone who considers entering the German market to get in touch with either Barbara's organizations, Saxony Economic Development Corporation, or us when as far as Leipzig is concerned, because we are essentially public sector organizations. So, and our whole reason of being is to support overseas companies with free advice on the many business opportunities in Germany, the options you have in terms of choosing legal entities and stuff. So this is what we do, and we can also point you in the direction of who to talk to with regards to potential collaborations or any other red tape. I would like to mention before I pick up the next question is we do have a very capable cluster management / membership organization by the name of Saxony, which is also there to help any international companies seeking business opportunities in Saxony. So we've got a question, suspiciously from person named Andreas Lippert, about how do you, our testimonials, judge the impact of Corona on your current business trajectories? Does it affect your business at all? Does it present you with additional opportunities? Or is it just a mixed bag, essentially?
Let me start first. DynAbind, the current business has no impact from Corona. though the stuff is well and the business is running well. So what we are afraid is that on the long-term run, the missing conferences are an issue for getting in contact with the potential clients. Our clients mostly are coming at first with the scientists and then later on with the business development organization. Here we are looking for alternative ways to compensate for this. But at the moment, the company is pretty fine.
Maybe I can add something because in our case, so this is now the case for Biotype, one of the companies out of the molecular diagnostics group. Corona actually turned out to be a tremendous business opportunity in our case. So when it all started at the middle of March, we were found, or basically by a company from the UK who already had IVD certified for Europe and also then later internationally diagnostic test for COVID-19. But they got so many requests, they could not even get by to manufacture and produce this according to the regulatory standards. And they asked us if we can do this, if we can massively scale our manufacturing site. And this was very interesting to see because, or let's say very amazing to see because since there was this kind of threat from outside, the whole company managed within only 4 weeks to completely turn around Biotype, like locally the physical company, into like a large scale production site for this corona test. And yeah, it was like at the end until I think the last numbers were from August, we delivered to this company in the UK and even acting as distributor for them now, over 12 million COVID tests in the past like 4 months. And this was amazing to see what is possible in still such a small, let's say small companies. Biotype alone has over 80 people and we even grew in this time. So also there, the Saxony landscape was very, very helpful because within, I think, 2 weeks, we hired 25, 30 people to just be able to deal with the hands-on work needed for scaling up the manufacturing. This was really amazing to see, and we were very happy that we could contribute to the management of this whole pandemic locally and of course in Europe here.
Well, thank you, Norman. This sounds really great. So you really took out the best of the COVID for your company.
For the business side, yes.
Isabel?
I'm happy to add on this. For us, I would say it was twofold as well. It's difficult because we had just started our hiring process. This obviously got a lot more complicated under COVID, not only because you cannot do any job interviews in person, but many people who were eager maybe to change jobs before COVID changed their mind during the pandemic, and safety comes first then. So this was on the challenging side, I would say. On the other hand, for us, it was an opportunity as well, just because we promoted our infectious diseases program as our primary indication, and therefore we're able to use or are able to use the accelerated processes in terms of getting to clinical trials and the, let's say, less strict rules that apply for treatments that are COVID related. So this was on the good side. So yeah, I would say at the end of the day, always challenges are always to make something good out of it. That happens. But on the other hand, getting everything that is in relationship management, may it be finding people, but may it be building networks or strengthening networks, were more on the challenging side. But one thing I would like to mention about Saxony, because for me, I can see it on a daily basis because I commute between Hamburg and Leipzig. So I think Saxony is very lucky in terms of number of cases, and therefore kind of not as strict political rules in terms of how you have to protect people. So you could still go and work in the offices, for instance. So obligations are not as bad as they are in many other regions in Germany.
I maybe would like to pick up on something Isabel said, and also towards Barbara and Axel about the whole recruitment strategy for Saxony. Because I mean, what we see is that we have very good access to talent from the scientific, research, technological, and also product development side here. So this works very well, the talent transfer into the, if you really look for the people. But it's really hard, on the other hand, to get, for example, very seasoned professionals from certain areas or international professionals. And since we are currently like implementing our strategies to grow the business internationally, we see it's quite tricky to get them to Dresden, which is, I'm also not from Dresden, but I moved here 10 years ago, and it's, in my opinion, the most awesome place to live. So I wonder a little bit how this is that international people still really are not like have, I don't know, it's hard to get them, here localized or relocalized basically. And maybe to Isabel, like when Mannin started here, was it COVID aside easy to get the right people applying even for the positions you wanted to fill to come to Leipzig?
Yeah, it's both. So it's on one hand, people that we were already speaking to decided to stay in their old jobs. I mean, we are a small company, so obviously larger companies give you a lot more comfort in terms or in times of crisis. And in addition to that, we were to attract people from outside, not only outside Leipzig, but outside Germany. Because we wanted to hire fast, and with the notice time that you have to give in Germany before you can actually leave a job, this would take too much time or would take too long, and therefore then it's very difficult because it kind of changes from week to week more or less who you could be, what would quarantine mean, where did you get people from, and visa is not here or has not become easier under COVID as well. So it's more that.
Let me just add on this question about recruitment strategies, especially when it comes to attracting international talent. I think one of the main challenges is that internationals tend to still go to the usual suspect cities in Germany first. It is very much all about Munich, Frankfurt, Berlin, for that matter. But I think we're seeing a change here. Just as you said, quality of life is extremely high in cities like Dresden and Leipzig. It is so much more affordable, actually, to have a high quality lifestyle, inner city lifestyle, even as we see in other cities. This is getting increasingly harder to be able to afford, inner city flats and stuff like that. So I think we're changing that. Also, I think, and this whole seminar today is part of our ambition to actually fly the flag for Saxony internationally a bit more, so that people are much more aware about the opportunities here. I think if you take a closer look, we already see lots of international cooperation happening from Saxony, especially with the UK. We see things like Transcampus with King's College. So these are well-established corporations already, and I think these will help us amplify the message about that this is a great place to live and work for internationals as well. In terms of hands-on support, I'd just like to mention that my organization, Invest Region Leipzig, also has a recruitment support service in place, so we can actually help companies find the right talent. We are not a proper recruiter as such, but we do have a large network of recruiters available. We can actually work with the career development centers at the universities and develop bespoke recruitment touch points for new companies that want to set up here. So, and that service is available for German companies and international companies alike. So we don't discriminate between them. Just again, as that question popped up again, with regard to the appetite of companies in Saxony to collaborate with companies outside of Germany, I think we've heard it more than once today that the appetite is very strong. I think this is what is typical for most companies based in Germany, being foreign-owned or German, that an international outlook and international business is very important to them. There's a reason why Germany is considered a country of exporters. It's just about, you know, being able to do business in and with foreign markets. The other question, do German companies prefer to work with companies who have a base close by? I think that usually applies. It depends on what the actual business operation or collaboration entails, I suppose. In terms of, let's say, clinical trials, of course, it would be helpful if you had a base here. If you just want to sell, let's say, basic plastic products or so, you don't necessarily have to have a sales office here in Germany. So I think in general, it doesn't matter too much. It will matter eventually if you want to apply for investment grants, for credits, for R&D grants and stuff like that. Then you are more or less required to have an operational base and some sort of legal entity in Germany. So
maybe I can add a little bit on this. Though for real collaborations like we are offering, for us it does not matter where you are sitting. The only point is that our technology is of value for you, and the collaboration yields something which is of value for both of us. So just reach out, and we will find a way to collaborate. There is even no language hurdle here. DynAbind is a very small company, but the management comes from the States and from Saxony, even knowing the local language very well. We have an R&D director from Italy. We have senior staff from Greece, for instance, the advisors coming from Italy and China. So there's more or less no language we could not answer. This is even reflecting that it's relatively easy for us to find good stuff which is provided by the university, which is an excellent one, by the way. And even if we are placing a job offer on LinkedIn, for instance, for the last one, we got applications from across Europe and pretty good ones. So we are international in any sense, and please come back to us and let's talk about this.
I think these were perfect words for the end of our seminar. Thank you to all our testimonials today, to Norman, to Norbert, to Isabel. It was really good to have you here, because you all showed us how innovative your companies are and how international you work and how very nice based you are here in Saxony. So thank you. It was really interesting. Everyone from the audience who has some question can write us. Don't panic, we'll provide our contact details, and we'll also provide you the presentation from today. So yeah, we wish you a good day and see you soon, hopefully in Saxony.
Okay, thank you for the invite, and have a good day, everyone.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
good afternoon. Bye.
Bye-bye.